Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ MV, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest on the line, friend to the room, Mr. Will Packer. Welcome, sir.
What up, family? What's good, y'all?
What's going on?
Good to see you, man.
It's good to be seen. It's good to see y'all. You know, it's crazy. Like, during this time, I almost feel like, as counterintuitive as it is, like, we're closer. Like, in a weird way. Because, like, we're in each other's homes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm certainly watching more social media, seeing what cats are doing. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. It's just, it feels like, even though we're obviously more separated than ever, I just feel like a closeness to us, to my people, to the folks that, you know, I didn't never pay that much attention to Envy's IG before. Now I'm like, you know, he go live. I'm like, let me see what Envy doing. Let me see what, you know, what magic.
I saw he opened up for you, DJ.
You know what I'm saying? See what my girl Yee is up to. I don't know. It's a weird kind of community because we're all in the same boat and we all still kind of connected even though we're not. I don't know.
I saw Envy was opening for you as a DJ.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. So Envy's, is that Yee?
Yeah, that's Yee.
Yep.
So what you got to do, you got your speakerphone on your phone, right?
Okay, so Yee will come in here. Yes, I need to
Can
pull
you hear
one
me
of mine
now?
out.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Now I got
Yeah,
you.
there you go.
I said
All right.
I saw
Don't let
that
me
you were
mess up
opening
the
up.
technology, though. If is that all right? Does this work?
Yeah, you good now.
Yeah, there we go.
What up,
I
Yee?
said I saw you opening up for Envy as a DJ.
Listen, let me tell you something. Hold on.
Or Envy opened for you, my bad.
I opened up for him.
First of all, this is a time where everybody is a motivational speaker. Hold on. You know we all at home. So my wife's dog. Hey, baby. Suki, go in there with your mom. Go in there. I'm sorry. I'm messing. This is y'all see Suki. This is my wife's dog right here.
Hey, Suki.
Heather, come get Suki. I'm sorry, y'all. Hold on, let me
Go
close
get
it.
Suki.
Oh, he had
Well,
on
they had-
underwear.
Will Packer.
He had no pants on.
He just
He
had
has
to
no
get the
pants
ready
on.
He has no pants on.
And Will, why you got a dryer in your office? Why is that a dryer you sitting in? Why you got a dryer in your office?
What are you talking about? You talking about this?
That's not a dryer?
No,
What's
that's
that
not a
behind you?
dryer.
The shit.
That's a-
Oh, this?
That's not a dryer.
Oh, okay.
He thought it was a dryer. He thought it was going to go over your head and dry.
Yo, don't come for my crib. Don't do that, man. You know what I'm saying? I dare each and every one of y'all to pan around your rooms right now. There's probably some magic going on.
I'm in the
My
basement.
room's
Ain't
nice
really
and
nothing
neat.
down there.
Mine is crazy. I got 5 kids, man. Mine is crazy.
All right. But yeah, no, okay, so all right, during this time, right, everybody's doing shit they're not supposed to do. Y'all know how it is. So everybody's a motivational speaker. Everybody is a host. I done seen so many Instagram live talk shows. Everybody
Lord
is
have
a
mercy.
fitness guru, and everybody is a DJ. Y'all know how it is. Athletes want to rap. Rappers want to act. Actors want to DJ. Like, you know, why should I miss out on the crave? So, yes.
Right, have some fun.
Yes, yeah, I'm in the crib. I already had like back at FAMU, I was like the radio, you know, DJ guy. So, but not a real DJ, make no mistake. But I got the system at my crib. So this is just that's how I blow off my steam. My wife.
You've done this before. He had a whole DJ setup at the crib. I just had one little controller. He had speakers and lights flashing. I said, "What is going?" You've done this before.
I've been waiting for quarantine. I've been waiting my whole life.
Worldwide
for a global pandemic, bro. I've been waiting.
Now y'all don't understand. He was playing music. He had sets. He had DJ sets.
I think I don't know if it was you and your wife, and y'all was just having a party randomly. Just y'all two.
Yep.
Dude, that's us. And the awful thing or the great thing is that literally that's us. Like that really, we decided to go live, but I really do have a situation in my basement so I can throw house parties because we're very social. And I invite each and every one of y'all next time you're in the A, when we get outside, come through. And so we will literally go downstairs, throw on a drink, and I'll mess around the turntables, throw on the little lights in the club, and we will have a party because we grown, man. We old.
That's right.
What I'm looking like is going to the club standing on couches next to, like,
I love it.
You know, Lil this Uzi rapper Migo. Like, come on, man. So that's our grown folks' time. Sometimes we have other people over, sometimes just us. So.
Well, I'm glad that's what it was, because I thought you were celebrating the fact, because I know you done bought your season tickets because your Bucks think they going to the Super Bowl this year because they got goddamn Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski.
You hear all that flick, you hear all that hate in Charlamagne's voice. Let me tell you something. You never saw somebody that wishes a season wouldn't happen like Charlamagne right now. Yo, we want this season to get canceled so bad. Here's the thing, Charlamagne, like no matter what happens, we won, bro. Like we're relevant. Every time, like people are talking about it. That's all we care about, dude. When you got an irrelevant franchise like mine and a small market team, you know what I mean? Like, I'm always the only dude in the sports bar with a Bucks jersey, right? So when the trade happened, like, I was on a Zoom, right? I'm on like 10 Zooms a day now. I'm on a Zoom. My phone started blowing up because I'm the only Bucks fan that a lot of my friends know. So immediately they start hitting me. You know what I'm saying? Dude, it would be the most Bucks thing ever for the season not to happen this year. So
right.
I need it to happen. Damn it. I need it. Yo, real talk.
It looks like it will happen. It looks like it will happen.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Like, dude, NBA is going to happen. Watch what I tell you. Like, it's going to.
NBA, yeah. End of this month.
Version, yeah. So by the time, NFL is in a great spot because everybody would have worked out and gotten used to it, worked out the kinks and gotten used to it all. But me and my guy, Gary Sheffield, shout out to my home team. You know, y'all know Chef, baseball legend. As soon as it happened, me and him went in on a suite at the Tampa Bay Ray J Stadium.
Nice.
So I will be at every Bucks game.
See that? What'd I tell you?
What? What? I mean, come on. What you expect?
Now, Will, what if you're working? You can't go to the game if you're working, right?
Yeah. I will be at let me repeat. I will be at every Bucks home game. You know what I'm saying? So I will have to fly back. And you know, it's crazy because of how the quarantine is working, there are certain places where you're able to shoot like sooner than others. Mm-hmm. And you know, Georgia potentially is one. Tyler Perry's trying to get his studio reopened. But one of the places recently we've been talking about is actually Iceland. Because
really?
there's a studio in Iceland. They're shooting right now. It's a small country. It's isolated. Their rates are super, super low in terms of COVID. And so if they allow foreigners in, they actually, because there's a big stage there, they actually could be one of the places that people are looking at. And I'm looking at. I got a project right now I'm looking at. So I don't know. I don't know if I can fly back to Tampa from Iceland if I end up over there, but I'm going to do the best I can.
Before we get into Blackballed, I want to talk to you a little bit more about that. Do you think it's over in the meantime for the LAs of the world as far as like, you know, TV production, film production?
Or even New York too.
Over, like what do you mean?
Just in the meantime, like as far as, you know, filming, TV production, film production over there. When you think that'll get started again?
It's definitely, you know, like everything, shut completely down now. California is tricky because a lot of the models. So here's what's happening behind the scenes. Everybody in Hollywood, like a lot of industries, are running through all these models of what it would look like for us to shoot, right? Mm-hmm. What do we have to do? Do we have to sequester people? You know, do we have to test every day, every other day? What are the protocols that would be on set? So everybody's got all these different models, you know, my company included. And in California, there are some challenges with the laws because there's a law in the books in California that if you work you can't have an employee stay overnight without paying them for 24 hours. And this was something that I believe was put in place so that people wouldn't take advantage of immigrants. California has a big immigrant population, and so, you know, you had nail salons at one time that were forcing the employees to, like, sleep, you know, in a room in the salon and then stay up, you know, and work the same. They didn't have anywhere else to go, so they were, like, a lot of the salon owners were taking advantage of them. So there's a law that would make it difficult for my industry to quarantine people without paying them for 24 hours, which would be cost prohibitive. There's a producer named Jason Blum. Blum does all the horror movies, you know, The Purge and stuff like that is what he's known for. He's looking to try to shoot a movie in July. So the first two people up shooting are Tyler Perry in Atlanta, and Blum is trying to do one in California. We will see. It's the Wild Wild West, Charlamagne. That's the answer, is that we don't know. Yeah. We're trying to figure it out. That's the real answer.
Because one positive case can shut down production.
People are doing like Zoom shows in quarantine now also. I see a lot of that happening as they're trying to figure out what kind of content can we bring.
What do you think about? What do y'all think about the stuff like the content?
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate Zoom. I hate like talking to you via Zoom right now.
I see dating shows coming on the Zoom. You know, we're doing Revolt on
I just think it's too
something
many
different. I
people
forget.
doing them now. I'm just tired of them. You
Yeah.
see them, you just see them too much.
I'm with y'all. I'm kind of with Charlamagne on the hate level, only because like I'm doing so many of like, you know, my industry, Hollywood feels like you got to be like, if you ain't doing something, even if you run it in place, they like, you got to be doing something. Come on, we got to
Right.
be. So I literally have like 6-7 Zooms a day. You know what I mean? So like this one is dope because I like, you know, we talking, we vibing, whatever. But like business meetings every day on Zoom. But I'll be honest with you guys, I think this is not going away anytime soon. Even once we reopen, travel is going to be down. Like I live in Atlanta. I got offices in LA and New York. I guarantee you I probably will not be traveling as much as I did prior to. And I hear a lot of executives saying that same thing because we are getting things done like
Right.
this.
Right.
This is our new reality, y'all.
I even say it to the
Save
record
us some
labels.
money.
Do you really need an office? I mean, because everybody's working at home, and you just need a space to see the artists. Other than that, you save all that money on rent.
Literal conversations being had right now certainly across the Hollywood industries. Like, do we need, you know what I mean, assistants in cubicles? Do we need, you know, support staff at a front desk and big offices, corner offices? Like, all of that is being discussed right now. Absolutely. And
Right.
I think it's going to be different. I really do. You don't come out of something like this major and things just go back to normal. Like, it's just,
Right.
it's not
Right.
gonna happen, right? So we will all be changed, and in some ways for the better from this. But certainly the way we interact, the way we work, the way we produce, the way we create will be different. I don't think that the Zoom show, the everybody at home show, like that's not. You watch content because you want it to be aspirational, like how
Right.
the world should be or could be, or you want to learn something, you want to be, you know, enthused, and you know, you want to feel something. There's something that's sterile about this. You know what I mean? Something that's not quite as engaging. It's not
Right.
what you know. You pay your money to see. You want Hollywood to present a bigger than
Absolutely.
life for you know.
Right.
And this is a little too real. What we can do for now, but I don't.
Now, one thing I do like, Will, I do like the movies on demand. I love the fact that I can watch certain movies that are coming out in theaters on demand. That I do like.
That's not going to change, sir. You're going to have more of that. I assure you.
Okay.
Theaters will reopen, and people will go back to theaters. But what Charlamagne is talking about, we call that PVOD, Premium VOD, right? And so all right, we know at Netflix and Amazon, all those are like, we call that like buffet streaming, right? And so you go and pay one thing a month and you get all these movies. What's going to start happening now is like what we saw with Trolls and some other movies that have recently come out. You will have high-level movies that previously would have been in the theater that will be available to you at home. And you can
Right.
go and you can say, I'm going to pay $19.99 and watch that new Will Packer joint, you know what I mean, from home. Like, that is going to be much more of a reality now.
I think that makes more sense. I mean, especially it's safer. I mean, if I can get a movie and I don't have to go to the movie theater and I can still purchase it at the house, the family could watch it and it's safer and I don't have to worry about paying, you know, overpriced popcorn and overpriced sodas and that way I could watch a movie without wearing a mask. I think it makes more sense.
It's not going away. Listen, the theaters will still be there, though. People will still definitely go to theaters. Theater owners are not happy about, you know, what that new reality is going to be. But what you said is right. A lot of people would do that, would watch a movie.
I feel like theaters have already kind of made a pivot because I see a lot more of the theaters where you have like the kind of bed type of scenario, and then you could order food and drinks from your seat and stuff like that. We didn't really have those in New York, but now we have those type of theaters like iPick theaters and all of that because they're figuring out how to make money without having to fill up as many seats.
And you're saying that you think that's a good thing? Like you're more inclined to go to the theater because the experience has been made better? Or
I like
what?
that experience.
Okay.
I like that experience.
Yeah.
I like the restaurant. I like having a drink at my seat. I like being super comfortable. Sometimes I can't even go to like a regular theater now. I have to go to one of those.
Right,
you know, it's
right.
just so much more comfortable.
I agree.
I think people will go to theaters for the blockbusters.
That's
Like the
it.
big joints.
The
Yep.
bar has been raised. For a theatrical movie, it has to be something that feels like a spectacle, feels huge, feels like something that you can't see anywhere else. And then movies that, you know, perhaps are smaller, not big tentpole movies. You know, some of them still be in the theaters. Like I expect to still have movies in theaters, but I expect to also have movies that, you know, people will be able to watch at home.
Absolutely.
You know, it's interesting.
All
Your show that you're here to talk about Blackballed, right? So you're sitting there watching The Last Dance, and you see these commercials pop up, and you like, oh shit, this is a good follow-up. I mean, The Last Dance is, that's a high bar, but like this is a good follow-up, this story. Then I'm like, oh shit, it's on Quibi. Now I gotta order Quibi. But Blackballed.
You could get 60 days free, right? Or something like that.
They did have a free trial. I think it's over now.
Okay.
Listen, it's interesting because coming off Last Dance, which was very well made. I know everybody loved it, but even as a filmmaker, like watching the way they shaped the narrative, the way they played with time, and the way that they told the stories, it was really well done. That's hard. It's hard to tell that much. Even though it was tit-up, like it was still a lot of story, and you got to tell it in a way to keep people engaged. And so, it was really well done. But I'll be honest with you guys, I'm proud of this joint. This joint is good, man. This is it's the story of the 2014 Clippers, and it is the story of how Donald Sterling, their owner at the time, got caught on tape with his girlfriend. He was married, he had his mistress, and he got caught on tape saying a bunch of crazy stuff about the black players, about black people, about Magic Johnson. And it happened right before the Clippers were scheduled to play their playoff game against the Golden State Warriors. And it was such an interesting time because, the Clippers were really just starting to be relevant. This is Chris Paul. This is, Matt Barnes, DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin. This is J.J. Redick. This is that team that was just starting to make some noise. No longer were they just Doc had just come from Boston, you know what I mean? And so it was a great time for them. And I was joking about the Bucks. It was the most Clipper thing ever that they finally get relevant. Right. And now, damn it, something that is the players had nothing to do with it, And Jamel Hill, who's in our doc, says a great quote, which is, when racist things happen, it's often the victims that are tasked with fixing it. What are you going to do? And so it's the first time you ever heard the story of the behind the scenes of how it all went down. The players never got a chance to tell their story. It also is about power. And that's something that I know this group can appreciate. The behind the scenes power in a billion-dollar industry and how things happen. How it got to the point that you had an owner that was banned for life and then removed. This was very difficult. This is not something you don't just take things from rich white people. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They like their things. They like their things. They own them. They bought them, and this country supports them with that. And you had a lot of owners, and we go into that, who said, "Yo, this is a slippery slope. That was a private conversation. Just because he said something in private that people don't like, you can't just take a person's team away." And Adam Silver, the commissioner, was new on the job. He was literally months on the job. The league had been run by David Stern, right? And so we've been watching The Last Dance. We see David Stern. David Stern took the NBA. He was a capitalist. Make no mistake. He was somebody that took the league from, a big deal, especially domestically, to a global superpower. That was his thing. Adam Silver's fresh on the job. Now he's got one of the owners that he works for, got caught doing something crazy. Now everybody's looking at him like, what are you going to do, right? And it was the first time ever you had an owner get banned for life. Like, that was just unheard of.
Of any team.
Right.
An owner of any team.
Marge Schott, there was an owner of the Cincinnati Reds. I don't know if y'all know that story, but it was a racist, older woman, this white woman, Marge Schott. She owned the Reds. She said crazy stuff about everybody. Blacks, Asian players, gays. She was wild. And they banned her for a period of time. She was just that bad. Right. But, can't take away her team. You can't ban her for life. At least that's what they thought. This was the first time they banned this dude for life. A new commissioner on the job, put his neck on the line. But you had Chris behind the scenes, Doc behind the scenes, Adam Silver, the mayor of L.A. Like, we show how power works in these kinds of circles, and brought it all together.
You know what I was thinking while I was watching it, Will? I was thinking about, and I know this has been a conversation, just the term owner. Even saying the team's owner or ownership and changing even that word, because I know they've said in the documentary, in the docuseries, that he treated the players like cattle and he really felt like he owned them. Yep. And so what other words, do you think that's something that would be a consideration, just changing the word from owner to something else?
I think it has to be. Absolutely. It's antiquated. And you can't have that, the optics of that, when you have primarily all white men and a heavy predominance of black players, and you call somebody an owner, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. It never really worked, but it certainly doesn't work with the way that we perceive ourselves as a society. We like to think that we are, at least before Trump, a lot of people thought we were post-racial. Now racial issues are right at the forefront, and race and sports has always intersected. To your point, Yee, I had a conversation with one of the NBA owners that I'm friendly with, and he said, listen, I would have no problem. That term is stupid. He said, I would have no problem doing away with it. And by the way, it's a small thing to do, and he did treat him like that. And we show that in the doc. Like, he would go and he would, like, touch his players like they were his prized pieces of meat. You know what I'm saying?
Chris Paul said he was like, look at Chris. Isn't he handsome?
Yeah,
look at him.
On stage. He was on stage in front of a bunch of rich white people, brought Chris Paul and the players up. And he was like, look at him as he's touching them. Like, look at him. Isn't he handsome? Look at this guy.
Wow. Chris is handsome.
Dude, that's not the point, though, man. And to be the owner, he's an athlete playing for you.
I get that, because that feels very auction blockish, but I think that's a reach when it comes to the word owner, because
I was going to say
he owns the franchise. He owns the team. He doesn't own the players, because if he owned the players wouldn't be allowed to leave when they become free agents, or they wouldn't be negotiations. Like, him and the players work together. Like, he don't own them. He owns the team, the franchise.
I would be with you if they were good actors. That's what I would say. If they weren't so many bad actors, right? Mm-hmm. So they have taken that term and bastardized it. If it was, and if the racial disparity wasn't so obvious. So if you had, 30% black owners, right? Now it's just a term. Yes, they own that team, that asset. Now that's what it feels like. But the optics of it, when you have so many bad actors, Donald Sterling, it was one of the worst kept secrets in the league what a bad dude he was. People knew he was awful. He had been sued in federal court, Right. So I hear what you're saying, and if all things were equal and it was just about the business term, but the reality is that you got a lot of bad actors, and the optics of it is that all those are white, all the owners primarily are white, and the majority of the players are black, and that doesn't sit well with a lot of people,
right? Especially
in a world, right, where you got Ahmaud Arbery is a reality. You know what I mean? Breonna Taylor is a reality. We got all these injustices in the world, and now sports, where you got people saying, yo, just shut up and dribble. We don't want to hear what you got to say about social issues. In that kind of world, that term is troublesome. That's what I'll say.
So what's the other word then?
They've talked about some stuff, and when I was talking with that owner, we were having a conversation. But partnership, it's around partnership, because in reality, they are partners with the players. They do, they do control the asset, which is the team. But the way the CBA and the union deals are struck, they really are partners. They really do share in the revenue and that kind of thing. So, it was something like, controlling partner or something. Don't quote me, but it was something along those lines to get away from owner, because owner now, it goes past just owning the team, and it feels like you're saying owning the players and treating them like they're your property.
Well, your Wi-Fi is a little crazy. You're frozen, and we're gonna, air this video. So make sure you good money.
Turn that 5G on, man. Stop being afraid.
No, man. Listen, I don't believe in that. I'm actually on an Ethernet. That's how I've been doing these. So that means it's bad coming into my house. Is the guy any better now?
A little bit, still a little glitchy. But I was gonna ask, even with the documentary, they said they knew he was this bad. The people knew he was this bad beforehand. So why didn't they do anything beforehand if he was that horrible and that bad? Why did we have to wait for that audio to come out? Nobody ever said anything. There was no lawsuits, nothing against him in the league.
And I think it wasn't just the league, right? It was also he owned buildings, and he had all kinds of lawsuits before.
Dude made his money, and stop me if the Wi-Fi doesn't work. But dude made his money in primarily in real estate in LA, and he was sued because he didn't want black tenants, he didn't want Hispanic tenants, and he was pretty blatant about it. And he was sued in federal court about that. This is a guy who changed his name. His real name wasn't Donald Sterling. We talk about this in the doc. His name was Donald Tokowitz. And he felt like with a name like Tokowitz, he couldn't be as successful in business in America. So he changed his name to Sterling because he felt like that could get him further. And, obviously the implication, Tokowitz is a Hebrew name. So he felt like he didn't want to be associated with that. So this is somebody that people knew who he was.
Right.
But the reality is that, like I said, in this country, you got money, you got power, and especially
Cash talks.
you're white, you got privilege, you know?
Was Donald
One thing you
Sterling
have to
at all
take into
concerned
consideration.
was Donald Sterling at all concerned about how he'd be portrayed in this documentary? And do you anticipate any legal backlash?
You know what's interesting is, no, I don't anticipate that at all. Somebody, folks on the Quibi side came to me and asked about interviewing Donald Sterling because it was possible to get access to him. And I said absolutely not. It's not his story. We know what he did. He did a crazy interview after it happened on CNN.
Oh my God. I forgot about that until y'all played it in the doc. That was he was blaming Magic Johnson, and I was completely
literally bananas. And I was like, I'm not putting this dude in here. We've heard his side before. I'm not doing that. I'm not putting him in this doc because it's not his story. We want to shape a narrative around the truth of the people you haven't heard from, which are the Doc Rivers and Chris Pauls and DeAndre Jordans of the world, Adam Silvers, Bob Iger is in it, the mayor of LA. Like that's what we wanted. I didn't want him to be.
Was there anybody you wanted to interview that didn't want to take part?
I mean, you always cast out a wide net, but we got everybody we needed. I'll be honest with you. We got a lot of great people. Obviously, the people that were involved with it, but then like sports folks who were around at that time, like Stephen A., like Jamel Hill, Kenny Smith. So we got
my girl Michelle Roberts is in it. She went to my college, so we're
Yep. Where'd you go, Yee?
Wesleyan. And you know what I wanted to say too? What was really interesting was taking into consideration what the players had to do because they still had to play. And people were against them. People were boycotting the games. That's affecting their pockets. And then they're also looking at them. If you guys don't do something, they're kind of blaming the players because it's like, this is acceptable to you. And so the fans were blaming the players. And it was just a difficult situation all around because how are you supposed to play under those conditions?
Right. And what do? Everybody looked at them now and said, how are you going to fix this? It wasn't something they did. It wasn't their fault. But everybody looked at them like, all right, so now what are you going to do, Clippers? How you going to play for this man, this owner, this racist owner that literally just told y'all how he felt? You going to go out and play? And they had a choice to make. And, they could have said, all right, we're going to burn down the arena, burn our jerseys and not play. They could have said, all right, we're just going to shut up and dribble and not say anything. But they had to find the right measured response because, Doc Rivers has a great quote where he walks into the team and the team is all upset. And he said, listen, make no mistake, my name is not Doc Rivers. I'm Glenn Rivers. Glenn Rivers from a small town. And if you think I'm not as mad as y'all, I'm a black man first. And he said, if y'all don't want to play, we won't play. But he says, when I dreamed of winning championships in this league, I never dreamed of doing it for Donald Sterling. Who are you playing for? And I think that's a great quote that we can all take into heart. Who are you playing for? Who are you doing this for, Envy? Who are you doing this for, Charlamagne? Who are you working for, Yee? Right? You know what I'm saying? Is it Revolt or, your radio company? Exactly. That's who you're doing it for.
Right.
How many NBA owners how many NBA owners do you think feel the same way Donald Sterling feels? They just haven't been exposed yet.
Here's what I would say. They're mostly all billionaires. They're mostly all white. They're mostly, business owners, people who have been successful in business and not people who have worked in philanthropy or social justice or done things for communities. That's not typically the makeup of an owner. So I don't know, but I can guarantee you he's not the only one. And the owners got nervous when this happened with Donald Sterling because it was like, well, shit, what did I say to my girlfriend? If somebody records me and gets me on tape, what does that mean for me? So, it's power in America. And people with the most power, doesn't mean they're all bad at all, but oftentimes they're unchecked. Right. They're not called out on their shit, and so they behave. That old saying, like, who you are is how you behave when nobody's watching, when nobody's around.
That's right.
Well, when you're a billionaire in this country, basically everything you do is like nobody's watching. You know what I mean? There are not a lot of people holding you accountable, especially until recently.
Absolutely.
And I'll say this: the other thing I liked about it is the fact that it shows, like right now today, we see a lot of players using their platforms, right? Mm-hmm. And if you think about it, like NBA players are the most high-profile black men. And I think Stephen A. actually said this in the doc. They're the most high-profile group of black men in the world. NBA players. And for so long, you saw it in the Jordan doc. You know, Jordan, Charles Barkley, those guys, they weren't speaking up for social issues. You know, that wasn't their thing. They were playing ball, right? And so these days, though, you do have LeBron and Chris and Melo and D-Wade stand on stage and make a statement, you know? And so I love the fact that now players are using their power and using their voice.
Absolutely. I was going to ask, you know, with you living in Atlanta and them open up in Atlanta so fast, did you go out? Did you go to the mall and did you go get your hair cut? Did you go to, get your nails done? Or did your wife get her hair done? Or did you say, you know what, I'm going to sit back, man? Because Atlanta opened up fast. I see people in the clubs and day parties, car washes. They partying it up in Atlanta.
Yeah, Georgia's open. Georgia's wild, man. It started with Georgia with that Republican governor who counted the votes, and so he won by a few votes over Stacey Abrams. Right,
Brian Kemp.
Mm-hmm. Brian Kemp started with Brian Kemp, and unfortunately in Atlanta, it's like Envy said, the malls are open. Hell no, I'm not out at the mall. No, my wife is at the crib. We're not playing that, and my family is not out there like that. Like, yeah, we will leave our house, but social distance, and we very rarely leave our house. You know what I mean? So, like, it's just, there's nothing to play with. People think this is a game, man, and it's nothing to play with, period. It's nothing to play with because, of course, it can affect vulnerable people you come in contact with, but it can affect you. This is what people tripping on. Like, make no mistake, yeah, maybe every 3 out of 100 people that are under 50, could die from it. I'm not taking that chance to be one of those 3. I'm not reaching in the bucket of 100 M&Ms and I know 3 of them could kill me. I ain't eating. You know what I mean? I'm not going to eat M&Ms. Like, it's simple. So, no, I'm not out. And I would caution all my folks that's like, hey, we open. Let's get these nails done and let's go to the movies. Let's hang out and do the party. Okay. All right. Be smart about this. That's what I would say. Be very smart.
I had a quick question to kind of, because you did Blackballed on Quibi, I wanted to know your thoughts about Quibi and some things that they could be maybe doing differently or doing better for subscribers, because I know it just launched recently and they anticipated having more users than they have now, and they spent a lot of money on content and on launching. So what do you think needs to happen with Quibi for it to be successful?
I think that people need to go back to the social habits that Quibi anticipated that they would be doing when they launched. The whole plan for Quibi was that we're all outside busy and we've got this in our hands at all times. And so while you're standing in line at the grocery store, while you're on the train, while you're out and about, you can watch something quickly, because Quibi is all about short. It's short for quick bites. So it's all about short episodes. So when you watched it, none of the episodes of Blackball are longer than 7-8 minutes. They're all very short. So right now, though, nobody's doing any of those things that I just named, right? And so it's not working in the same way that they thought. But there's some good content on there. There is.
Yeah, no, there is.
Big name folks on there that are involved. So, I just encourage people, give it a shot, try it. This is an important doc. It's an important story to tell. You think you know it, but we're going to tell other aspects of it. And this is important. Like, I'm going to do the Kevin Hart and Tiffany Haddish movies, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to do the, commercial, popcorn stuff. I'm going to do that. I'm going to entertain people. But I also got to use my power to do, stories like, the Atlanta child murders or Blackball. Yeah. I got to do it. And these are stories we need to tell.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very powerful, especially when you hear Matt Barnes talking about his issues having to deal with racism coming up, and also Chris Paul, just what these players have had to go through being Black men
and how about
in
JJ
society.
Redick? I forgot.
Yep, JJ, yes.
JJ Redick, as the white boy on the team, he was very honest about his perspective and where he came from and how it hit him and his voice in that room. And we go there as well.
I was going to say, I think Quibi is definitely gonna work. I think that they just need to add the feature where you can mirror it to your television. That's number one. But what's the importance of athletes, and not just athletes, man, black people with platforms speaking up?
How can you not? You know, you are a part of a group that is a minority group, that is a disenfranchised group that does not have power. So if you find yourself in a position like any of us, like an NBA player, a football player, a big actor, if you find yourself in a position where you got a little bit more of a platform and a little bit more of a voice than the average person that looks like you,
right,
how could you not use that to speak up for those that don't have it, right? That's how I feel about it. So I think it's important. I think we're certainly seeing more of it now, but it's not the same as 10 years ago. Like, you know, Jordan, listen, I don't agree with Jordan not, supporting the candidate in South Carolina, the black candidate that was running against Strom Thurmond.
No, it was North Carolina.
I'm sorry, North Carolina. Right, you would know. My fault. I think I would have loved to have seen him lend his voice, but back then, you know, somebody in his circle could have argued, yo, you're going to hurt your Jordan sales. Like, don't do it. Think of self-preservation. Even though I don't agree with that mentality, you don't even have that as an excuse anymore, right? LeBron, like even Colin, after all of that, his endorsements went up. You know what I mean? So I just think that now there's no excuse to not use your voice for those that don't have it, especially if it's something that is good for the community at large, and not just the black community, the human community.
I agree with you, right? And I wonder about stuff like that, right? Because you think about LeBron. Even LeBron knows when to get quiet, when it might affect too much, like what happened with China, right? But sometimes, do we need to protect those guys? Like they may not need to be on the front line using their voice because they're behind the scenes with their resources.
You need both, Charlamagne. You need both. Like you need Colin Kaepernick and you need Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm referring to the NFL, obviously, right? But you need somebody that's going out, and sometimes you're right. LeBron can be, front and center and say what happened to Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia is, a travesty. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, he may feel like, politically with China, I'm not going to touch it. That's different. Mm-hmm. So I think we need both. And I think that when they do come out and speak, we need to support their right to say it, even if we don't always agree with it. That's my thing.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask you, going back to Quibi, how difficult is it for you to film something that's only 7 minutes when you're used to long features? Is it more difficult to be like, you got to get everything in 7 minutes?
It's a totally different approach to a narrative process, man. It's, when I'm making like my movies, those are fictional narratives, fictional scripted narratives. And so we can do anything we want with the story. Here, you do have to shape the story a certain way, but people are telling their truths. If I do a doc about Angela Yee, I whatever her words are what's going to be in the doc. Now, I can make the music swell at a certain point, or I can, shoot her a certain way to try to make it feel a certain way, but it's her story and it's her truth. There's only so much I can do with it. So it takes a skill, and our director, a guy named Michael Jacobs, he did an excellent job. And the thing about it being short MV is that it flows. Like, it's something that it just, once you get in, it doesn't feel like I had some people hit me like, bro, I just saw a doc. I just saw 10 hours of doc. I don't want to see another doc. And I'm like, listen, I feel that, but this doesn't feel like a doc. It feels like something that you watch very quickly, you're engaged, and before you know it, you're into the next episode and the next episode. It's a completely different viewing experience than The Last Dance.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I watched the whole thing back to. It was like 12 episodes. I watched all of it back to back. But I was just at home, like you said. I'm not out and about walking around, so it's a little different.
Yeah. In theory, Quibi will work. When you are out and about, you can watch an episode here, an episode there. So we'll see. A lot of big people behind it. I hope that it works. But at the end of the day, it was the right platform that gave us an opportunity to tell like a really like concise, interesting, engaging story about this American event,
Gotcha.
And it's unprecedented American event.
I got two more questions for you, Will. You mentioned J.J. Redick, right? How important is it for white people with platforms to speak out against injustice?
I would argue that it is of paramount importance. Dr. Martin Luther King has that quote about white moderates and saying that the biggest threat, I'm paraphrasing, but one of the biggest threats to black justice and equality is not the Ku Klux Klan, but the white moderate who believes in the status quo over justice. And what you're seeing right now is a lot of white people, white athletes included, who are appalled by some of the things that are happening in this country. But if they don't speak up, their voice rings way different than somebody that looks like the victimized people, right? So if you're on the side of privilege and you're on the side of traditional power in this country, you got a different responsibility and a different voice, and we need to hear it. It is extremely important. The days of the white moderate, the days of the, even white people that just sit back and retweet the comment, the hashtag, even that's not enough anymore. You got to stand up and say, I'm a part of the problem. I'm a white person with power. I'm raising white children. I'm not standing for this. And I'm going to hold other white people accountable because it bangs differently coming from them than it does from any of us.
Gotcha.
And I love that scene on Black AF when all the black creatives are on a Zoom call with each other, critiquing each other. How often does that happen in real life?
It happens. It definitely happens because it's a small community. We all talk, you know what I'm saying? And so we'll all get together and talk about, what'd you think about the latest blah, blah, blah. It happens. It's not like, Kenya had everybody on the FaceTime at once. Usually it's like a group text or when you see people at an event. But I think there also is a sense, and Kenya tried to touch on this in the show, and if you haven't seen Black AF, I say give it a chance. I know it's been a lot of mixed, and it's not for everybody. There's been a lot of mixed opinions about it. It's not for everybody. But I commend Kenya with what he was trying to do, which is to show a completely different side of blackness than you've ever seen, which is why the title of the show, Black AF, is ironic. I felt like people missed that. They were like, I used to have all these light-skinned people call it Black AF, and these kids ain't acting like black kids. That was kind of the point, right?
Gotcha.
But anyway, to your point, Charlamagne, there is definitely a sense of community in most of Black Hollywood. And so most times you won't see Black Hollywood trashing or tearing down somebody else in Black Hollywood because we know what it took to get here. We're a small community. We know how hard we work. So even if I didn't like the last thing from insert a black producer or filmmaker here, you ain't gonna never see me come out publicly and say that because I know how hard it was because the playing field is not level. So I know how hard it was for them to get that made. You know what I mean? I know how many other mediocre white peers they had to answer to and get past in order to even get their stuff made. So to me, the bigger picture is the fact that it's more of us telling our story.
Gotcha.
Does the art get better if we don't critique it though? It's one thing to get Go ahead.
No, I know. I think I know where you're going. It's one thing to get to give critique to make people better. Another thing just to be harshly critical for critics' sake, right? Mm-hmm. Criticism's sake. Here's the thing. The art gets better because there's more of us making it. That's the reality. That's how it works, right? If there are more options, the audience is going to go to the stuff that they like, that they enjoy. We need more people telling our stories. That's what will happen. When you only got one or two people telling our stories, that's all you got. And if you want to see a story that looks like us and has, thematically mirrors our lives, you ain't got no choice but to watch one of those. You know what I mean? So if it's just Will Packer and Tyler Perry, that's all you got. But if it's Will Packer and Tyler Perry and Lena Waithe and Malcolm Lee and Tim Story, if you got a lot of other people, then we got to get our games up or the audiences won't watch them. So I never tell audiences okay, go watch it even if you didn't like it because it's black. I would like for you to, but you have a right not to. And the reality is that the content will get better the more of us that are making it. We don't need black creatives tearing other black creatives down. That may not be a popular opinion, but that's how I feel. Not publicly. I wouldn't do it.
Right. You can say it behind the scenes, but publicly you're not going to tear anyone else down. Another black creative.
Them. That's correct. I would say it to them behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like a shy person. I would say anything to anybody directly about how I felt about it or what I thought they could change or do different. But it's all in the spirit of love and lifting it up. But when they go out into that world, I know what it's like and I know how hard it is. So I'm definitely gonna big them up and back them.
All right. Well, Will Packer, we appreciate you for checking in, brother.
Man, I appreciate y'all.
Well-
you know what I'm saying? This is family. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Y'all
And
hang in
definitely
there.
check out Blackballed on Quibi. You can check it out right now. And
What?
I'll open up for you anytime, brother. Anytime you want me to DJ for you, I'll open up for you, brother.
Hey, man, I'm going to keep
Yo, I'm
working
not-
on my bad DJ at Envy. I ain't done yet. What you say,
I'm not gonna lie,
Charlamagne?
that sounded wild because like the computer was going in and out. So all I heard was Envy would say, check out Blackballs, and then I'll open up for you anytime, brother. I was like, Jesus Christ.
See that?
Yo, leave it.
See that?
Leave it to you. Leave
my
it
goodness.
to you.
My goodness. All right, brother.
Bye, Will.
Yo, before we go, question, Charlamagne, was that you on that post or did you do the face replacement?
That was him.
No, that was
not
Todd.
him.
That was my face on Todrick's body.
That
No,
was
Todd,
him. He,
right?
he
Todd,
FaceTimed me
yes.
before he did it. He had the camera. That was him.
If I could move like that, I have a TikTok. I have the biggest TikTok on the planet right now.
Shout out to Todrick. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all,
All right,
family.
Will.
Always love.
All right, brother.
All right, Joe. Later.